Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 7 key game picks. Before we talk about Week number 7, thoughts from Week number 6. Now, there's only a few things that come to mind from Week number 6. Obviously, I have to go back to the Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Patriots, which in the first half of that game, it looked like the Patriots had total control. The Kansas City Chiefs came back in the second half, made it a game. They even tied it at one point. But Tom Brady and the Patriots were able to defeat them on a last-second field goal. Now, that game, personally though, I don't know if the Chiefs, I don't know if there really is such thing as a good loss here, but I think it may have been. I said this before this game was played, that if the Chiefs were to go into Foxborough and beat the Patriots, then I'm going to say the Chiefs are for real. But you lose to the Patriots on a last second. Now, they tied the game late in the fourth quarter. It was 40-40, but there was 3 minutes left. And I constantly say this a lot. I don't know if anybody who pays attention to my videos, but I always say this a lot. Don't give Tom Brady any sort of time left, because it's been proven many times already. Once he has the ball, the last possession in the fourth quarter, they will beat you. Personally, though, the Chiefs, I mean, they have the capacity to score. But I just think that, look, I'm not really all that for conservatism in football where you want to hold the ball as much as you can. But in this case, when you're playing the Patriots, you don't want to give Tom Brady any time left. I personally thought the Chiefs should have held the ball for the remainder of the fourth quarter and scored a touchdown to at least tie the game. Because who knows what would have happened in overtime. You win the coin toss, and of course, you get the ball. But it's been proven time and time and again. You give Tom Brady any time, he's going to beat you. And that's what happened with the Chiefs. They had the Patriots on the ropes in the second half. One turnover that really tied the game for the Chiefs, but you leave Tom Brady time, you're going to get burned. So the Chiefs finally get their first loss of the season, which means the Rams are still their only undefeated team left in the NFL, in a big victory over the Broncos. But really now questions come to mind for Kupp. Kupp hurt his knee in that game, and that is one receiver that Jared Goff cannot afford to lose. Now, right now, the Rams kind of sort of have the luxury right now with being 3 games up in the NFC West. They should not have to worry too much, though, especially this week, though. The Seahawks are on a bye week, and they had a huge victory over the Raiders in London. The Rams don't have to worry too much because playing the 49ers are a heavy favorite in that one, and I expect them to win. So it shouldn't be too much of a worry for the Rams, even though I said, well, look, they got to worry down the line if there could be any trap games coming for them. But they also got one more meeting with the Seahawks. Now, the Rams are lucky to be up 3 games in that division, but if the Rams struggle and get their first loss, maybe 2 losses down the road, that game with the Seahawks could be critical. If somehow the Seahawks start getting on a roll. But other than that, though, the Rams have the luxury of staying undefeated. They should be glad that they're 6-0. Seahawks are 3 games back. It's still got a ways to go, but the Rams cannot afford to lose any key players right now if they start getting on a 1 or 2 game losing streak. And the other surprise that came out of week number 6 was really the 49ers-Packers game, which all logic and many insights and analysts said that game was supposed to be a blowout, but it actually turned into a great Monday Night Football game on the Packers winning on a last-second field goal. How was that possible? You're a heavy favorite to beat the Niners. You let them into the game. Obviously, the Packers got problems on both sides of the ball. Aaron Rodgers is struggling to find good receivers, and their defense just can't seem to do any great. They were lucky to get 1 interception, and it was a key one late in the fourth quarter that set up the game-winning field goal for the Packers. But obviously, there's problems. There's problems ahead. And the Packers got a tough stretch down the road, and that's not going to be an easy task for them. They got the Patriots coming up. They got a second meeting with the Bears. That game is going to be pretty critical down the line. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy stretch for Aaron Rodgers, though, and especially if he's not 100%. Along with the Bears, although the Packers should be fortunate, they're back in this thing in the NFC North. the Bears screwed up by losing to the Dolphins on Sunday when really they should have had that game. A key turnover in overtime, which led to a missed field goal, and the Dolphins ended up winning that game. The NFC North now really is competitive. So it's going to be really interesting how that division is going to play out down the road. Anyways, my friends, let's get into week number 7. Good. A lot of games are key games, and I wrote down about 6 games that I think are key games, but I have to keep it at 4, and this is what I have for this week. All right, let's begin with key game number 1. A big game in the AFC South. It is the Texans versus the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars are 4.5-point favorite. By some reason, I don't know how they're a favorite after they got whooped last week against the Cowboys. Obviously, their defense has struggled a lot, but a lot of it I think I blame on the offense, too. Bortles hasn't been able to... I mean, look at the stats for Bortles last week. 15 of 26, 149 yards, and 1 touchdown and 1 interception in the game last week against the Cowboys. That's not going to get it done. Now, Houston, they were into a game with the Bills, and the unfortunate injury of Allen for the Bills really set up a big turnover late in the fourth quarter, which gave the Texans the win last week. Especially Watson going 15 of 25, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Now, that was a key stat there, 2 INTs. Jacksonville's a 4.5-point favorite. I don't know how they're 4.5. That number should be much lower, the way the offense and the defense has been playing for this team here. Jacksonville's actually good at home. I think they only have 1 home loss this season, but other than that, this is going to be I expect this game to be good. If the Jaguars are struggling here, it's only going to make the Texans look good here. But here's the thing. Jacksonville's defense, I think, is going to come alive in this game. Watson was lucky they beat the Bills last week. They're still struggling as well. Both teams have an even record of 3-3, along with the Tennessee Titans. No question, first place is on the line right here. Now, here's a key note. Titans are playing the Chargers, and I expect the Chargers to beat the Titans in a close game. But the game is in London, but I think the Chargers will beat them, which makes this game very critical to who takes over first place here. So who do I have in this game? I'm going to go with the Jaguars here. I think they will bounce back here in a game that they have to have if they want to prove themselves in the AFC South. Now, this division is pretty wide open right now, but I like the Jaguars in this game. I think they'll bounce back here. This game, I think, is going to be close, but I'll take the Jaguars here. Jaguars over the Texans. Key game number 2, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Bengals last week, obviously there was some controversy of illegal contact or defensive holding late in the fourth quarter, which led to a Pittsburgh touchdown, which made them lose that game. But really, for the Bengals right now, they got a lot more to worry about here. You got the Chiefs here. This may be an even more tougher task if you want to hold on to first place in the AFC North here. Dalton last week went 26 of 42, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions, despite losing at the last second to the Steelers. Now, the Chiefs in a very hard-fought game last week against the Patriots, Patrick Mahomes went 23 of 36, 352 yards, 4 touchdowns, but he was picked off twice in that game against the Pats. So could there be a sign here that Patrick Mahomes may start to seem more human now? I highly doubt it because they have enough talent to really put up numbers here. Now, I know their defense struggled, but their offense is what saves them. And that's why I'm picking the Chiefs here. They're doing their best right now. Because remember, the Chargers are 1 game back. That loss was big because the Chargers beat the Browns last week. That really puts the pressure now on the Chiefs. Because once the Chargers get Bosa back, that to me could be scary down the line. And you know there's one more meeting between the Chargers and the Chiefs. Chiefs need this game badly right now in order to stay ahead of the Chargers. And that is why I'm picking the Chiefs here. I think they'll beat the Bengals here, which will put a lot of pressure now on the Bengals with the Ravens starting to get better. Pittsburgh starting to come along as well. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the Bengals. So there's no question. Chiefs win this game, and it's going to put even more pressure on the Bengals here if the Bengals lose this game. Chiefs over the Bengals. Key game number 3, the Carolina Panthers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. There is another key game to go with that one that I will talk about in just a few minutes. But let's talk about this game first. Now, the Panthers last week, big loss last week against the Redskins. Newton going 27 of 40, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That to me, despite those pretty good stats there, I mean, that key fourth down late in the fourth quarter in which they lost, in which they turned it over on downs, they ended up losing that game, really was critical. Obviously, Newton is having a hard time finding receivers here. Not only that, his running game him running the ball hasn't been that effective either. Especially now with the Eagles last week beating the lowly Giants. Eagles are a 4.5-point favorite in this one. And I agree with that. Wentz last week, 26 of 36, 218 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So really, it's a big game for both these two teams, for the Panthers to try to stay in pace in the NFC South, and for the Eagles to try to stay ahead in the NFC East. I expect this game to be good. It's going to be close. But I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles here. The Eagles need this game. And to me, their offense is just a tad better than the Panthers. But this game could go either way, in all honesty. But I'm going with the Eagles here. I know they have some injury issues in it, but I like this. I like the Eagles in this game here. I think the Panthers got more problems than the Eagles do. And that's why I'm going to pick the Eagles here, especially this game is in Philadelphia. I like the home field advantage here, and that's where I'm going with. I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one, Eagles over the Panthers. Now, talking about that other key game that goes with that game, a big one in the NFC East here. It's the Cowboys versus the Redskins. Redskins are a 1.5-point favorite in here. Now, Redskins right now technically are in first place because they had a bye week. That bye week helped them stay ahead in first place. And this game is critical now if they lose this game. Now, if Philadelphia beats Carolina, it will put a lot of pressure for the Redskins and the Cowboys to who will stay pace in the NFC East. Now, Prescott last week in a big win over the Jaguars, 17 of 27, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Redskins last week, Alex Smith went 21 of 36, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. This game could not be evenly matched here. Now, here's a key thing, though. Cowboys are bad on the road. They have not won a road game all season. And this game's not going to be any different. If the Cowboys are a home team, they play better at home than they do on the road. And I think the road struggles are going to continue, especially in this heated rivalry here. And this is why I'm going to stay with that. I'm going to stay with that key thing. And that's why I'm picking the Redskins here. But this game is going to be close. I expect this game to go back and forth here. So there's no question whoever has the ball last is probably going to end up winning this game. This game can go either way. This is not a sure pick here, but I'll go with the Redskins here for one thing. Cowboys have not won a road game all year, and they need to win this game in order to keep pace if Philadelphia does beat Carolina. And really, that NFC East could not be any more competitive than it's been in a while. I'm going to pick the Redskins here. I think they will remain in first place, and that will really put a lot of pressure on the Cowboys here now. And that's what I'm going to stick with here. Redskins over the Cowboys. All right, everybody, that wraps up my picks for week number 7. For all of my week 7 picks, please check the description below. And I will see you guys next week when I talk about my picks for week number 8. Until then, take care and enjoy your football weekend.